I'm Sharon Brett Kelly and I'm at the Trade Village in Apia, Samoa. It's just a hop and a skip from where King Charles's meeting leaders gathered for the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting, including, for the first time, New Zealand Prime Minister Christopher Luxon. This week, Samoa has been the centre of a group of nations with a total population of 2.5 billion. It's made history as the first small island nation to host CHOGM, and more than 3,000 leaders and delegates from 56 countries. This is its chance to showcase its culture and its people.
Even though we live in a very small rock in the middle of the ocean, but there's a lot more to us than just an island.
So today on The Detail, what does it all mean for Samoans? Well, we'll find out in a minute from one man at the market here. But if you thought, what's the point of this big, expensive talkfest? Well, just listen to these extraordinary people who have taken days to get here. They're not the decision makers now, but soon they will be. First, back to the trade market.
Talofa, my name is Vasily Fiti, Chris Solomon.
And is this what you do?
Yeah, me and my partner Sina here, this what we're doing here today at the CHOGM 2024 Trade Village. We're doing a siapo. The siapo is a Samoan word for it. We also call it vala, but the English term for it is tapa. So this material or this fabric, this is the ancient material that this is the material that our ancestors used to wear before they started introducing all these other modern fabrics into the country. But the greatest part about this material, it's still the skill is still very much intact and alive to this day. So now instead of like we wear it every day, but we only wear it in ceremonial events.
What do you think of this big event here of CHOGM?
Well, I think it's a chance of a lifetime. We've never had this. We've never hosted, this kind of a meeting before, when it comes to the Commonwealth, So this is our chance to, promote our traditional skills and our culture and to let the whole world know that, Samoa is just not a name. We're people with, hospitality, and even though we live in a very small rock in the middle of the ocean, but there's a lot more to us than just an island.
And so you hope to benefit, prosper from this event?
Well, not so much the word benefit, just an exposure to let people know who we are and what we are and how we are. But when you say benefit, that's something that, we're not working to make, a reward, Okay. We're just naturally people that, we're happy every day. We like it when people come to our islands and visit, The hospitality, not just Samoans, but with the Polynesian people themselves. The hospitality is natural. It's something that you you were brought up with.
There's some quite serious messages here, though, at this conference, aren't there? Like messages about, freedom of speech, the environment, climate change, how, what we do with our young people, because within the Commonwealth there's 1.5 billion young people.
Mm-hmm. Well, when you mention the word climate change, that's just a new word in the English term, or a new way of the Western society of looking at it. But with the Samoans, we've always protected the environment from the ancient time, our ancestors, because the ocean and the land, it's part of us. So we have to take care of it for the next generations to come. So it's nothing new for us, because with the modern society, you go to the store and buy everything you need. Us, we go right there. We go right there in the land. So when you say climate change, that's a problem in a Western society or in big countries. With us here in the Polynesian or the Samoan Islands, we've always been brought up to make sure you use the land with respect, even the ocean, because without the ocean and the land, we will not be able to survive.
Bulavinaka, my name is Miliana Inga and I'm from Fiji.
And why are you here?
Thank you. I'm here on behalf of the Pacific Youth Council as the coordinator of the Pacific Youth Council, which is a network of 13 national youth councils across the Pacific region.
I heard you speak yesterday at a side event talking about a moratorium on sea mining in the Pacific. You're an economist, is that right?
Yes.
Tell
by
me a bit about
profession.
yourself.
Okay, so I'm a development economist. That's my background, but I'm actually doing work with the Pacific Youth Council, so that's my passion.
Right. And what does the Youth Council do? What does the Pacific Youth Council do?
So basically the Pacific Youth Council, our overarching vision at the moment is that we want Pacific youth to shape Pacific development. And with that being said, we try and mobilize youth leaders across the Pacific region, those in our national youth councils, and also youth networks that reach out to us for support, etc. We try to mobilize them in their own countries to influence national policies about them, national policies that affect young people, and also have that regional youth voice. So in other words, you could say that we mobilize the regional youth voice for the Pacific.
There are 1.5 billion people in the Commonwealth under the age of 30. They make up 60% of the Commonwealth population. So there's a big focus here on what young people want. Miliana was pleased with a youth council meeting held in Fiji in August where she felt government ministers were paying attention. But are they being listened to here?
Well, for us coming into the Commonwealth meeting this week, one of the very first things we've noticed at the outset was that there's not a lot of Pacific representation here, even though it's being hosted in the Pacific. So what we've noticed is that at times our negotiating power may be less, our bargaining power when it comes to meetings like this, because we're just small island states. But then we're reminded again that we're large ocean states. And for us coming into this meeting, that has been something that I've been continuously telling Pacific youth reps, whatever form or space that they're engaged in during the course of this week, is to make sure that they stamp their mark and have their voices heard.
Why aren't there more youth from Pacific Island nations here? Is it about money? They just can't afford to send them here.
I think one of the issues would be funding, but I believe so. The second one would be the capacity also to apply for those funds. I believe most of our youths would want to be here, but they probably just don't have the capacity to submit proposals, etc., to come and attend these meetings.
The thing that I struggle with is isn't this whole thing just a talk fest? Isn't it just, people getting together, powerful people, NGOs, business people getting together in these beautiful resorts and talking about the issues that face the Commonwealth? I mean, as a young person, how do you feel? Because I just kind of think, when you leave here at the end of the week, what will you think? Will you think, I really feel so much better because I think that people are getting onto it. Things are really happening to do with the climate emergency.
I think for us, if I might say so, I think it has been challenging trying to infiltrate some of the discussions that have been happening, but then we've been able to have good discussions with those from the Caribbean, for example, because we're all small, we're part of the SEEDS movement, SEEDS network, and we've realized that there are some good practices that we've exchanged with the Caribbean Regional Youth Council reps that are here. So we've managed to have discussions around what's working for them with their youth councils and what's working for us.
I saw you speak at the side event yesterday about the moratorium on seabed mining. Just go through with me what you said at that meeting.
Thank you. I guess when we were talking about the moratorium on deep sea mining, in respect to our country's sovereignty, we've had a few countries that have supported here in the Pacific region, and we still have those that have boldly said no to deep sea mining. They're not going to do any research on picking up nodules and figuring out what minerals are in it, etc. They are just boldly saying no. And then there are those who haven't really said yes or no, and they're probably being conscious as well and trying to do their own background study as well on the subject. But one thing that we noticed that for us as leaders of this region, moving forward and trying to have this conversation down the line with our own children and our youths, we note that we're in a time now where the Pacific region, we have a lot of social issues and challenges. We also have a lot of economic needs. And the government of the day, when it comes to making decisions, is going to be about balancing the economic benefits that comes with deep sea mining and trying to think of the resource viability and preserving the marine ecosystems, the ocean's ecosystem. So I think when we come to having those difficult conversations, it's going to be about, values, but then you have to think of your people as well. So that'll be a very difficult conversation to have, if I must say so myself.
You're part of the call for a moratorium in the Pacific?
Moratorium, yeah.
Just explain to me why you're so opposed to seabed mining.
I think the reason we're opposed to seabed mining is because the research around it still has a few loopholes or gaps in it. There hasn't been something substantial and factual in terms of the degree of degradation that could happen to the ocean ecosystem when it comes to seabed mining. We note that there are minerals there, precious minerals that we need, and there's been a lot of talk as well around how seabed mining can help ignite the conversation around green transition, which to an extent hasn't been quite provided with that substantial evidence that we need. So we need all those evidences in order to make that informed decision. And it's important to have that FPIC, free, prior, informed consent. And that should be a concept that comes from everybody. It has to be a public consulted decision before our leaders actually make the decision whether to mine or not.
Do you worry that it's kind of out of people's hands, the people, voters' hands? It's just these are decisions that are being made at a very high level without consultation?
It is worrying that could be the case, yes, because we also have to try and break down all these scientific terms to our people. So it'll all come down to a whole of society approach. Civil society having to translate the advocacy to meet the needs of the communities that are traditional owners of the land and sea. So that is something that falls on civil society, on us as youth networks to try and do that. At the same time, maintain a good standing relationship with government as well. I'm trying to get them to be on the table and hear our voices as well. If not, it'll be like knocking on a huge concrete wall. Yeah.
Kihembo Wilbert is a software engineer from Uganda and has cerebral palsy and communicates by text. So are you staying on the ship? Okay. And what's that like? You enjoying it? So tell me what did you talk about in there? Because I missed the discussion. What was it about? You're going to write? Yeah, you'll write it for me. Can I read it? You're from Uganda, you're the youth representative for the Commonwealth Disabled People's Forum, and you're talking about resilience. And you're talking about how resilience isn't just about surviving adversity, it's about building systems that empower all members of society, including persons with disabilities. And did you put together this speech? Did you compile it? You did? Wow, okay. And then you go on to say our youth are the future and disabled youth are a crucial part of that future. And you say through our work at CDYF, that's Commonwealth Disabled Youth Forum, okay, we are building a platform where disabled youth can connect, share experiences and advocate for change. And then you talk about the Disability Inclusion Action Plan, which is crucial for building the action. It goes on to say that you strongly urge Commonwealth state parties to support the adoption of the DIAP. And this action plan will not only address the challenges highlighted by disabled youth in our survey, you've done a survey about it, but it will also create more resilient and inclusive communities. As I conclude, if we are truly committed to building resilient communities, we must prioritise disability inclusion in every strategy, every policy and every action. Together we can create a Commonwealth where persons with disabilities are not just participants but leaders in shaping a more resilient and inclusive future for all. So that's your dream, is it? That's what you want. Your trip from Uganda to here You flew from Uganda to Dubai, and then Dubai to New Zealand. That's right. So Dubai to Auckland, then Auckland to Apia. Okay, and so it took you 48 hours to get here, and you were here from Sunday until Thursday, 5 days, and now you have to fly all the way back again. But you think it's worth it? It's worth it? You love it? Oh, that's amazing. Gosh, you must be so tired. And you're staying on the boat. And do you have any other meetings to go to? Okay. Other than side meetings and networking. Okay, so you're doing lots of networking. That's amazing. And do you enjoy it all? Yeah, you do. Tell me, so it's worth it? It's worth coming all this way? Is it? Gosh. No, look. Thank you. Okay, so you're saying, you enjoy experiencing life, and it's different here to your life in Uganda, right?
Hello, my name is Anna Madrick. I'm from Scotland, and I work as a legal advisor on climate for the permanent mission of Vanuatu to the United Nations.
And you're based in New York?
I'm based in New York, yes.
And I'm particularly interested because you're working on this concept of an ecocide law.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes, exactly.
Tell me about it.
So ecocide, defined broadly, refers to the reckless and severe and widespread or long-term destruction of the natural environment. Vanuatu, as a particularly climate-vulnerable state, has been a very strong advocate of ecocide law for a number of years. They were, in fact, the first sovereign state to call for its recognition by other states at the Assembly of States Parties to the International Criminal Court in 2019. And since then, they have maintained a very strong diplomatic approach in advancing this conversation amongst other delegations. So ecocide's not a new concept in law. It's actually been in discussion since the 1970s in the context of the Vietnam War. It's thereafter been debated by numerous academic institutions, judicial institutions, and defined a number of times. But the most significant developments have come in recent years with the proposal of a definition in 2021 by an independent expert panel. This definition has catalysed numerous proposals of ecocide all over the world, national levels, regional levels within the European Union, and most recently a proposal to the International Criminal Court by Vanuatu with co-sponsorship from Fiji and Samoa.
Okay, that's huge. Yes. So what does it actually mean, for Vanuatu, for Fiji, or for Samoa? What are the implications of it?
Well, for these states, they are bearing the brunt of the climate crisis, whilst also having contributed least historically to the problem. So ecocide is really about putting in place a deterrence, a preventative legal provision that can target the most severe forms of environmental destruction at source. So at the moment, our international system is predominantly based on a system of polluter pays, whereas ecocide law starts to shift that framework to polluter does not pollute. Now, in this context, it's really important to emphasize that ecocide is not a crime targeting environmental destruction in its entirety. It's really, really reserved for the most severe forms of harm. And this, of course, is essential because biodiversity and our fundamental climate regulating systems are still undergoing significant destruction. And this is a really, really, really significant cause of the climate crisis in which we're seeing. So ecocide law is really about putting in a framework of safety. Ultimately, whatever you do, you must not go beyond this point. However, the definition's also been drafted with a view to the right to development because it's very important to understand that there's no action that a human can take that's not going to result in an ecological imprint, of course. So this is why it's important that we have legal standards that can ensure safety. A certain threshold, a certain limit, and ecocide law was really about that.
Take Vanuatu then. I mean, who would they prosecute, or would it be a company? Would it be an individual? How would it play out?
Well, given that this is criminal law, it would relate to individual criminal responsibility. And international environmental law at the moment is predominantly rooted in state-based responsibility, which is still important, but that individual dimension is as of yet missing. It would be a crime that would target the most senior decision makers. So, for example, the highest level of policymakers or the CEO of a really significant kind of corporation that commits an ecocide. So the full definition of ecocide, I should note, relates to unlawful or wanton acts. So acts which are already unlawful under existing law. So thereby it actually can offer a way to strengthen the legal framework. Wanton refers to acts which are clearly disproportionate to the social and economic benefits. So this reflects the element that I mentioned about the right to development. Yes, it would be principally a crime to target senior decision makers. It's not coming for small businesses or the ordinary actions of individuals, and this is fundamentally why it's so important. So particular examples of ecocide law, may relate to, for example, a large oil spill, significant deforestation, significant acts of pollution. But the crime could target any kind of really, really serious offence that really severely destroys the environment. So, for example, the destruction of an entire ecosystem. Given we're talking about international criminal law, which represents the most serious offences against the peace and security of humankind, it's very, very important that all states have a stake in how ecocide law is defined and how it will play out.
No matter how much progress or not Pacific young people feel they've made here, Miliana Inga has been impressed with Samoa's hosting.
What I would remember from this week and this year's Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting 2024 in Samoa, firstly would be the Samoan people, their resilience, and that to me has been something inspirational to see as a Pacific youth leader. Samoa is a very small island country, but they've really stepped it up this week. So I'm really proud to be from the region because of how they've hosted the Commonwealth member countries from the 56 countries. And even for me coming into the Commonwealth Youth Forum and seeing how much our youths in Samoa have really put into the whole program, I'm really proud to be from the Pacific because of that. And the beauty of the Samoan people and their culture has really stood out for me during this Commonwealth meeting. But to see them all being present here for us gives us hope as well that we have allies out there that we can count on when it comes to the bigger fight that we have going on in the region.
That's it from me from Samoa. The Detail is a newsroom production supported by RNZ and New Zealand On Air. This episode was engineered by Phil Benj and produced by Alexia Russell. Thanks to Fa'asilifiti Solomona, Anna Madrick, Kihembo Wilbert and Miliana Inga. I'm Sharon Brett Kelly. Tōwha soifua.